Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Power Queen 12.8 volt 50 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. So in the box here you get the battery, of course. You get 2 sets of post bolts, so 4 bolts total, and these little caps. And then you get a user's guide here, product manual, a quick start guide, and then you get some stickers. So obviously we're looking at a 50 amp hour battery. It's half the capacity of your typical 100 amp hour battery that most people buy. But if you want something a little bit smaller and lighter, this is probably something you may want to consider. And just looking at some of the specs here in the manual, in terms of the dimensions here is what it shows. It's roughly about 7 by 7 by 7. And it weighs about 11.5 pounds, so it's pretty light. It has this little nice nylon strap on here to carry it around, and ABS plastic all around here. Now this is a newer version of the outer case. I believe, I'm not sure exactly which version this is, but there was a previous version of these batteries that had a slightly different top, and they've I guess modified this so it's newer. But as far as I'm told, the cells inside are still the same grade A prismatic cells, so it's nice and compact. You know, this lithium iron phosphate chemistry, it'll last a really long time, 4,000 plus cycles at 100% and up to 15,000 cycles to 60% capacity. So again, typical lithium iron phosphate, very durable, very long lasting. The battery will last you a very long time. Additionally, it does come with a 5-year warranty, so obviously the lifespan of this battery is 10 years, but the product warranty is 5 years. Alright, so a little bit of a deeper dive here into the specs. Rated capacity 50 amp hours or 640 watt hours. Again, over 4,000 cycles. The BMS on here is a 50 amp rated BMS. So basically the max continuous charge current is 50 amps and max continuous discharge current is 50 amps. And the surge discharge current is 150 amps at 1 second. Max continuous output power is 640 watts. And again, here are the dimensions. Again, the housing material is ABS plastic. It is IP65 water resistant. And here are the expected temperature ranges of the battery. And again, just a little closer look at the top here. The straps are removable if you don't want the strap on there. For example, if you're connecting multiple batteries together in parallel or serial. Just have some stickers here in the front and in the back. Not really, it just looks like a lithium iron phosphate battery. So when I first took the battery out of the box, the first thing I checked was the voltage, and it came in around 13.1 volts, which is about right for storage charging. You want to transport this, leave a storage charge around 50% of the capacity of the battery. And when I did a full charge, for the first full charge from where it came out of the box to 100%, I added about 349 watt hours, which is about right. It's roughly half the capacity of the battery. And then I went ahead and did a full capacity test from 100% to 0% to see what the actual capacity of this battery was. It was rated for 640 watt hours, and my capacity test showed 670 watt hours. And I did the test at about 100 watts of discharge, and it took about 6.5 hours. So if you're wondering how long this battery lasts, it depends on the power draw. So at about 100 watts, or a little over 100 watts, I got about 6.5 hours of power on time from 100% to 0%. Now, in terms of charging up the battery, you can go with a faster charger. I think they recommend about a 10 amp charger to basically not overcharge or charge the battery too fast, because while the battery could handle it, it's probably not good for the battery in the long run. So 10 amps or under is probably what's recommended. I charge mine at about 4 or 5 amps, I believe. But if you are in a rush, you can use up to a 25 amp charger, and that'll only take about 2 hours to charge up this battery. And of course, I did do a charging test with a solar panel and a solar charge controller, and this battery charged up no problem on a solar panel. And if you're concerned about the capacity of the battery not being enough for your needs, if you are able to charge the battery via solar, while you're using the battery, you can basically extend the capacity for as much as the power you're bringing in via the sun. Now I also did some max discharge tests here, so let's go ahead and take a look at those. Alright, so I'm going to do a power capacity test here, see how many watts and amps I can draw out of this battery. I've got this water boiler actually turned on already. I have a 1000 watt inverter connected to the battery here on the terminals, and you can see the current voltage, and it's 108 volts out, 12.7 volts in, and 415 watts. This will do a 640 watts continuous, I believe, and we're drawing about 37 amps right now, and it will do 50 max. So this is the water boiler that's on here. This one will draw a max of 600 watts, and we're only doing 415, so it's not even maxing it out. So got a heat gun here. This one will do about 300 watts, which should push us over, so it should be closer to 700 watts. So let's see what the amps are going to be like. It's going to be noisy, so we'll just watch the video. Okay, so it went up to 66 amps there and about 700 watts. It's a little bit over the max rating. So this is supposed to have overcurrent protection, but it was running for I was running for at least solid 30 seconds there, and it didn't kick in yet. So I probably need to go higher in terms of the wattage. So I was hoping to do another test where it would actually kick off the BMS's over current protection. It basically, if you draw too much power from the battery all at once, the BMS will basically shut down, and it basically it's like sort of acts like a fuse. But unfortunately, the inverter I'm using is only a 1000 watt inverter, and so whenever I would go over 1000 watts, even for a brief moment, the inverter would just basically click off, and it wouldn't actually turn the battery off. So unfortunately, I don't really have the ability to overpower the battery. I think I would need something like a 4,000 or 5,000 watt inverter, something like that, to hit that 150 amp protection. So apparently you really need something that's going to draw a lot of power from this little battery to be able to shut it down. Now, honestly, like, you know, when I was doing that earlier test at about 700, a little over 700 watts, I thought, okay, yeah, the battery is exceeding its rated capacity and a rated power rating, which is fine. But I would assume that after a while, I guess a certain period of time, maybe a few minutes, that would probably cause the battery to shut down. But the BMS didn't seem to shut down at all. So I wasn't really sure what was up with that. I think you would have to probably exceed 640 watts, probably by a fair amount, maybe like in the 900 to 1000 watts, or perhaps more, for 10 seconds or so, something like that. But I just couldn't find anything that would give me that specific amount of power to test that particular scenario. Anyway, overall, fantastic battery here. It rated for well over its rated capacity, like 670 watt hours versus the 640 watt hours rated. So that was fantastic. And it seems to deliver more than the rated amount of power. So very happy there with that. I think that if you're looking for something in this capacity range for your needs. Obviously, it depends on what you're going for, what kind of, what your what your power needs are, and what kind of devices you're going to be connecting to it. But for this amount of capacity and the price, I think is really, it's a pretty good value. It's like only about $100, a little over $100 for this battery. And for the power to weight ratio that you're going to get here in terms of capacity, for the amount of weight that you have to carry around, pretty nice. So like, if you don't like carrying around a really heavy 100 amp hour battery, you can carry around this much lighter, 11.5 pound, 50 amp hour battery, and that should take care of most of your needs. That should be pretty good value overall. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I'll have a link down in the video description if you guys want to check out this battery. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.